So yeah, let's get started. I have the opportunity to talk to you now for an hour. I'm happy you have to listen to me. Well, you don't have to, but I'm gonna send out some sounds directly in front of you, so most likely some of them will reach you. I was thinking what I would like to use that hour for and what I would like to give to you that you maybe can use on your way. And I think Colin started us off really nicely yesterday with the topic of our thoughts and how useful can meditation be and how beneficial to our life. So I kind of want to continue on there and talk about the topic of practice, because now we kind of found out about this thing, meditation, and now we're practicing it. And I just want to share my thoughts a bit with you around that topic and why we practice, what it means. And so why do we practice? General, probably every one of you has their own motivation, really to practice anything. And it's an interesting word to think about. What does it even mean to practice? We practice as children usually some sort of sport or an instrument or whatever strikes our interest. And why do we practice? Usually to get good at something, to get better, to know how, for the body, how to do it, for the mind. So there's usually a kind of a goal linked to the practice, like you want to get somewhere, you want to be good. So that's an interesting concept, and it's not always beneficial to have this goal. It can kind of get us started at some point, give us the push. But is that all of the practice, just to be good at it? Or what does it even mean to be good at meditation? Can you be good at meditation? I don't know. So let's look at the word. I've found it the official definition of the word, and it says, the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method as opposed to the theories relating to it. So Colin kind of stroked this a bit yesterday. So what we're doing is we have an idea, we have some knowledge, we have some sort of input, and we kind of want to do it ourselves. We want to apply this for our body, for our mind, in our lives. So what we're actually doing is we want to bring it into experience. So I found that's a really nice thought, to think of it that we practice to experience. And if you think of it, if you're a child and playing soccer, you're not playing soccer to become like the best soccer player in the world, maybe at some point, but they're playing to experience, to be there, to play. And I think that's a very nice thought to look at it and to spin it, to not have a goal there, but to just like practice to be and to experience, to live. And why can it be so important not to have the goal, or where is that even coming from to have goals? I think you all probably experienced that or are still experiencing it, that we're very driven towards goals. Like that's kind of how we're brought up. That's how our society works. We are born and there's all these things coming towards us on how to be and what to do, and when we've kind of learned that and how to walk and what to eat, it's kind of starting this like goal mindset. So first goal is tomorrow you go to kindergarten and the goal is to get social, interact with other people, and then you go to school and the goal is to finish school, to have good grades, and then you study. Why do you study? Because you want to have a certain profession. So the goal is to have a master's, and then the next goal is to find a job and get money and maybe family or this or that. And it doesn't really matter if like these goals are directly society driven or very bound to like family, this and that. Like we all have goals, even if we decide to break out like of certain norms that we're given. But it's like always this, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And while this can give us some motivation to do and to go on and maybe even some direction, it can also be a very stressful thing, or it can bring some unhappiness to our life, because what happens if you don't reach that goal? You feel kind of bad about yourself because you've been brought up with this mindset. You got to reach your goals. If you don't reach your goals, what's happening then? And not even if you don't reach your goals, what about if you do reach your goals? Let's say, for me, for example, I had that very strongly when I finished my studies, first the bachelor and then the master, and at the same time it was like, yes, amazing, this goal. And like the moment after, it's like, wow, but so what do I do next? It's like searching for the next goal. And then I had, let's do my master's. And then I had my master's, like, okay, what do you do with that now? I guess we go work. So even this like reaching of the goals, it's not really making us fully happy in the end, because there's always something next and something next and something next. So I found this really nice quote for it, and I'd like to read that to you. It really resonates with me, and I feel like it can be very liberating. It says, "There will come a time when you believe everything is finished. That will be the beginning." And I really love this quote because it's so true. It's on many levels, like you can interpret it in whatever way you want. For me, it kind of states this: when you finally see that there's nothing to reach, then you're free. Then you can just be. You can just live in the moment. And that's beautiful, isn't it? You can just live. And this new beginning is kind of a new beginning of a way to live. It's not a beginning of new things to reach or do. It's just like a new mindset, kind of liberating mindset. And this letting go of the goals or something to reach can be a very beautiful thought for our practice. And when I discussed the thing also with Colin a bit, he brought up there this thought of beginner's mind, and beautiful. It's beginner's mind is often, you hear that very often in your practice, like you approach every practice or every day like you've never done it before. And what a beautiful thing. Like, it doesn't really matter if you have meditated now for 60 years or for a day. It's about this experience in that moment, and maybe you sit down and immediately you feel a connection and your mind is quiet and you feel that you can take something with you, or you sit down after 60 years of practice and you cannot stop thinking and think about what you eat and what you're going to do. I mean, it's always hard for me to believe that Upal, for example, or like these really wise teachers have a day like that, but I'm sure they have. And taking this experience away from you, like I have these 60 years, so this and this must happen in my meditation, it's like a wished outcome. It's kind of a goal. So it's a very beautiful thing to take this beginner's mind with you in every practice, and it really liberates you in some way, because maybe you sit down with other people who are experienced in practicing, and you feel like, oh God, I'm such a noob here. Like, I'm not allowed to meditate with these people, or I'm so far behind. Like, yeah, you create all these expectations, negative or positive ones, and there's really no need for it. We're all in the same boat, and we're all just practicing. So, yeah, this I feel is a very nice thing to take with you, beginner's mind, and to like give you something like beginner's mind on the way. It's not a goal or push. It's just a kind of a companion on the way, like a how you practice. And speaking of this how to practice, it's leading us towards a very important topic for me, and it's intention. And all this speaking about, there's no goal to reach, no certain outcome. It kind of tells us that there is only really the journey. There's no destination. I'm sure you have heard that many times. It's about the journey. It's not about the destination. But it's sometimes hard to live with that, because usually we have the destination in mind. We want to go somewhere, like on many levels, not only in practice, like in traveling even. Like all travelers here, like you go somewhere because you want to reach there. And I have at some point discovered that for me, actually, it sometimes is more important just the journey there. It depends. Like when I'm in Austria, for example, visiting my family, and it's cold and I'm thinking about Sri Lanka, then I kind of want to be there. And the whole journey there is like, for me, like to get there. But then I go to the airport and maybe I have to wait a bit, and it's like, oh, when am I actually there? But then something changes and I'm actually getting this excitement of like going on the plane and like being on the plane. Maybe I actually really like planes. I sleep like a baby there, and I somehow really enjoy the weird plane food. And yeah, it's becoming an experience landing on the Indian airport and having no clue on where to go and what to do. So you kind of figure all these things out. And for me, that's when I feel the most me and the most alive, is on these journeys, really. And sometimes it depends, of course. If you have a lot of time, then you can experience the journey more. You don't have this like, oh, I have to be there at a certain time, like the buses can be late, you don't care. And yeah, I've kind of started to do that within my travels, to just like pick sometimes a random place that I don't really need to see, but it's kind of tricky to go there, so I just like go and I enjoy the bus ride and yeah, enjoy the journey there. And I feel that's what we've been doing here in Sri Lanka too. Like, I don't know all your personal stories, but for me, I never expected to be here so long, and it's always just thinking about where do we go next, what is the next destination, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're all gonna be here, so let's just be here, let's experience here. And I'm sure that kind of changed our experience, and it would have been very different if we all knew in 2 weeks we're going to be somewhere else. We probably would have done things differently, interacted differently. And yeah, so very beautiful to kind of spin your mind around enjoying the journey. And with the practice, it's the same thing. And I hope you can always enjoy your practice. I'm sure there will be times where it feels maybe a bit more like work, but here comes in the intention, and the intention can actually make your experience or help you to make your experience. And very simple example, let's take karma yoga, for example. Sweeping the floor. This guru told you have to sweep the floor now. And you're coming in and you're like, okay, I'm gonna sweep the floor. And we're coming from this like outcome-oriented society where it's about you have to sweep the floor, so it's about the floor to be clean. That's what you have to do. So you go in and you sweep the floor very fast, and maybe you're done in 10 minutes and you're like, yes, I swept the floor, but the karma yoga task is actually for an hour. So you're like, okay, what do I do now? An hour, the guru went off somewhere, there's no other tools, everything looks fine. So you're like, okay, what do I do now? Or the opposite happens and a new group arrives and stumps through with like muddy feet, and you're like, oh my god, like it's gonna take forever now I have to like actually clean it, and like this goal of the floor has to be clean becomes like very far reach, and you get frustrated. And yeah, I'm sure you've heard about this, or maybe also done it, karma yoga. It's not about the floor to be clean. Maybe at some point you actually want to be helpful in this like living together and make it a nice space, but it's about you sweeping the floor and really being there sweeping the floor, and not thinking I sweep the floor now to please my guru or to get this 10 minutes over or whatever. It's about being present and sweeping the floor. And here comes the intention. The intention can actually be just sweeping the floor, just be present with it. But then maybe you have like a natural aversion against sweeping the floor, and that's why you got the task to like face your demons. And then you can help yourself with an intention. You can say like, maybe you immediately reacted and you know like, oh, I hate sweeping the floor, and then you can be like, okay, today I'm gonna sweep the floor with a smile. And you start sweeping, and then maybe this like frustration comes in that you actually hate it and you're gonna lose the smile, but then you remind yourself of your attention and bring yourself back, sweeping the floor with a smile, and you sweep and you sweep. And the whole experience is gonna be changed. And that's what we wanna have for our practice. That's why setting an intention for your practice can be very powerful, and can totally change your experience, because you create your experience, and it can help you start the practice. Also, a goal can do that. You can start because you want to be happy, you want to be more mindful, you want to reach a certain state. But in the end, that's only going to create expectations, and that's going to be a heavy burden maybe to carry. So maybe just go in with an intention, not reaching something, but just like how you do it, with a smile, with kindness, with love. It's like this very broad themes that we always hear, but the longer you practice and the more of this intention you set, or maybe you only set one for your entire practice, maybe you set one daily, it doesn't really matter, but it's a really beautiful thing. And I just wanted to give you that on the way, also to understand the difference between goal and intention, and to not set goals. Maybe again it helps you to like start or like go there, but really you are there. You want to practice. You're all here. And like Colleen asked you in the beginning, like visualize why you're here or what you want your outcome to be. Does it really matter? We are here now, so how do you want to be here? And this for any situation, for any practice. Maybe you wake up on a day and feel super frustrated or sick or whatever, but you're still here. So maybe on that day you can set an intention to not fully give in to that feeling, or to be extremely gentle with yourself on that day. And I'm not saying that that's always going to be easy, or that you're going to follow your intention throughout the whole day. You're going to lose it in between. But the nice thing about intention is that you always can come back, and there's no disappointment in between. If you have a goal like, I'm going to meditate every day from now on until I die, and then you miss a day, you're like, oh God, like I might as well give it all up. It's frustrating. It's like a heavy burden to really do that. If you just like set the intention, I want to be more mindful, whatever that means. I want to create a practice. That can mean many things. It doesn't mean you have to practice every day, even if you want to, and that's a good like drive. But then things happen on the way. It's always, we never know the future. So many things can happen. So like keeping these intentions with you, that can be a very, very strong force and drive. And I think the most important intention that I can give you on the way is this thought of love and compassion towards yourself. And I know that's very there's a very nice word in German, abgelutscht. It's like when you've heard it like 1,000 times, and like maybe it even lost meaning, and everyone is talking about love and compassion, and you feel like, oh God. And really, I personally feel you cannot talk about it enough. It's like this like ground force that is driving everything. And yeah, I want to talk about this because it's so important, especially for your practice and for the life you live with yourself. And if you've been practicing yoga, you might have heard it before, this thought of ahimsa, non-violence, compassion. And we usually, well, we've all been in Sri Lanka for very long. I feel like it's a very loving community and society here, but in general, ahimsa, or like non-violence, is very linked with physical. I should not be violent to my body, not hurt anyone else. And that is very, very important, especially in yoga practice, or really in whatever you do, to be kind to your body, to not hurt yourself, to not push over your limits. Very, very important. But that's not all. As we've learned yesterday, there's a whole another universe to discover, that is our mind. And our mind can sometimes be a very cruel thing. And even though we've all heard about this concept of self-love, more often than not, the self-love is lacking a bit. Even if we think about it a lot and try to mind ourselves a lot, there's this voice, this annoying roommate, keeps on insulting us or keep on putting us down. And yeah, we can't really blame anyone for that. It's not another person. There's also that we encounter, but we're going to talk about that at a different day. But it's not really anyone else, it's us ourselves hurting us. Iyengar said, violence is a state of mind. So we're actually creating the most violence within ourselves, with our minds. And yeah, that is why it's so important to take a look at it. Like, how is this happening? And saying we're creating violence with our minds, let me reformulate it. It's with our words. It's the words we use towards ourselves. And that leads me to something that I would like to share with you and read to you. And there's a book that really changed my life and my perception of a lot of things. And it's called The Four Agreements. I don't know if you've heard of it. The author is Don Miguel, if I remember correctly. Los Cuatro Acuerdos. And it's about agreements or rules on how to live in this earth more happily. And it's mostly about how you live with yourself, but then also with others, and very powerful agreements. And I would like to read the first one to you, since he's also stating that, and I felt it myself too. It's the most important one. And the first agreement is: be impeccable with your words. So if you don't know what impeccable means, I didn't know what it means. Impeccable means careful or thoughtful, mindful. So you want to watch your words, and most of all the words with yourself. And I would like to read that to you, because he's saying it in a really good way, I feel. The author is I think influenced with Christianity as I read this, so it's not about the religion in this here. It's about the general message. So the first agreement. The first agreement is the most important one, and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word, or to be careful, thoughtful with your word. It sounds very simple, but it's very, very powerful. Why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, "In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God." So first there is the sound. How nicely today. Through the word you express your creative power. It is through the word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the word. What you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will all be manifested through the word. The word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. The word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. But like a sword with two edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. On edge is the misuse of the word, which creates a living hell. The other edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth. Depending upon how it is used, the word can set you free, or it can enslave you even more than you know. The word is so powerful that one word can change a life or destroy the lives of millions of people. Some years ago, one man in Germany, by the use of the word, manipulated a whole country of the most intelligent people. He led them into a world war with just the power of his word. He convinced others to commit the most atrocious acts of violence. He activated people's fear with the word, and like a big explosion, there was killing all around the world. All over the world, humans destroyed other humans because they were afraid of each other. Hitler's word, based on fear-generated beliefs and agreements, will be remembered for centuries. The human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. The seeds are opinions, ideas, and concepts. You plant a seed, a thought, and it grows. The word is like a seed, and the human mind is so fertile. The only problem is that too often it is fertile for the seeds of fear. Every human mind is fertile, but only for those kinds of seeds it is prepared for. What is important is to see which kind of seeds our mind is fertile for, and to prepare it to receive the seeds of love. So yeah, the word sounds very serious. It is very serious. When I first heard that, I was a bit like, okay, the word. So does that mean I can't say fuck anymore? It's like, I love saying fuck. And the person who brought this rule to me was like, wow, you can say whatever you want, but like maybe think about when you say it, what does it send out? If you say it to yourself or if you say it to the world, is it a nice thing? It's like, but it's cool, you know? It sends out coolness. Yeah, I still use the word fuck sometimes. It has its places, but yeah, I've thought about this agreement a lot, and it changed my world, and it's definitely very important in the speech or in how you speak to people around you. Very important. Can have very strong effects on people. There's the next rule that we will look into a bit tomorrow, maybe. That kind of brings in this like responsibility that I don't have to take everything people say to me. But yeah, it can have a lot of effect. It's like what you're sending out, people receive. But we don't even want to go that far. It really starts with what you say yourself, and this is a constant dialogue, as we heard yesterday. And if you're constantly talking to yourself in every situation in your life, you really want to be careful how you talk to yourself. You want to be careful on the words you use. You want to be careful on the tone. And this is not to pressure yourself and or to like feel bad when you talk in a not nice tone with you. It's not what this is supposed to do, but it's about changing your mindset about how you talk to yourself a bit. And yeah, I want to bring an example from my own life and how powerful words are. And I remember when I was around 10 years old, I started to play the flute. And in Austria, in order to play the flute, you have to go to an interview with the teacher, which no one really knows what that's useful for, because they're gonna let you play the flute anyways, because your parent's gonna pay for it, so he's gonna take you no matter what. But you have to go there and jump through the hoops a bit. And yeah, I was terrified of it. My mom was with me, and yeah, I don't know, for some reason I thought it was going to be a bit more about the flute and why I want to play it, but they actually made me sing there. And I don't remember too much from my childhood, but I think especially with new people, I was quite shy a bit, and he was like sitting in this like dark room with his piano and like playing the notes, and I was like, sing to the note. And I was like, ah. It's like, no, try again. Like, ah, like no. It's like, okay, and like getting smaller and smaller. I'm more afraid of this man. And then my mom started to get frustrated too, and she's like, no, it's sing. I'm like, I don't want to sing. Like, I'm here to play the flute. Like, why do you have to sing? She's like, oh, I heard you sing all day on the bus with your friends. So sing that song with the frog. And this song with the frog was like, does the frog, like really like stupid children lyrics, and I was like so embarrassed. I was like trying to make an impression here, and she wants me to sing that, and then like another children's song about the ducks, and I was just like really ashamed, and I didn't want to do it, and it like came out wrong, and at some point we stopped, and I felt terrible. I felt really like small, and my mom was frustrated and annoyed with me, and I felt like I did everything wrong, and yeah, I could start to play the flute, so like all this for nothing. But from this experience, I had in my head that I cannot sing, because I kind of tried to sing, not really, I tried to hide more, but there was some attempt in there to sing, and yeah, what I received back was brutal, like very harsh criticism, and yeah, my mom is a wonderful singer actually, and she plays in church, and when I was younger, when I finally played the flute, I actually played with her, and then people were always like, oh, it's so nice, the flute, but do you also sing? Like, your mom has such a nice voice. And I always said like, no, I cannot sing. And this kind of stuck with me for a very, very long time, this thought, I cannot sing. And this is what I kept telling myself, I cannot sing. And in like the situations where there was like place to sing, like in school or so, I always sang very quietly, and when I got louder, like I noticed like I cannot sing, like very terrible. And then I was older, and I had my boyfriends, and like sometimes I used to sing along with the songs, and one of them was always like, oh, that's not very nice. Like, I was like, yeah, but you know, I like it. It's like, yeah, it's nice that you like it, but you definitely cannot sing. And I was like, cool. And then one day I bought a guitar, because the flute at some point had its limits, and I'm not, I really love to play the flute, but all the practicing was not really, like, I didn't really get into it, and the guitar I really enjoyed, and it was just fun to play, and even though it was not like good or whatever, I started to play, and with this playing I slowly started to sing, and I felt good with it, and I felt that that's nice what's coming out, and singing also is a practice, and I started to receive a bit of positive feedback after all this year of negative feedback towards singing, and that was really nice. And not that it's always about what people tell you, and we're practicing how to love ourselves, how to be our own, so it's not about what's coming back, but it was interesting to see, like, oh, really? I actually can sing? Is that what it is? And I started to change my mindset around it, and really anyone can sing. It's often about this outcome, if yourself like it, if others like it, like it's all like this judgments around it, but we all can sing, and I started to change that in my head, and whenever I said like, oh, you can't sing, I was like, oh, actually I can sing, and you know what happened? I'm singing now, and good or bad, that's I personally always say there is no good or bad, it's just what it is. So if you want, you can always judge that yourself. But I am singing, and it's bringing me a lot of joy, and I feel it's very healing for me. And I think that's a very nice example of how you create your reality with what you tell yourself. How powerful the world is. The world is creating a whole new reality for me. A whole beautiful reality for me. And yeah, we have time. I have another really nice story for that, that I read many times, many times, years ago. It's a beautiful book, really. It's called Let Me Tell You a Story by Jorge Bucay. And I thought of it today. And unfortunately, I don't have it here to read it to you. It's really nicely written. I can recommend for you to read it. And it's the story about the elephant. And it's such a beautiful story. I'm going to try to recapture it shortly, since we don't have too much time. But it's about this young boy who is going to the circus, and he sees this like huge elephant there. Strong elephant, very powerful. And the elephant has a chain on his leg, and it's tied to I don't know what that's called, like this little wood in the floor. There's a word for it. So like a very small thing. And the boy is passing the elephant, and he's like thinking of, that's a bit strange, like this huge elephant is tied to this like small wooden piece on this not very strong looking rope, and he's just staying there. It's like, okay, maybe I ask my parents. So he did, and he asked the parents, and the parents were like, I don't know, like I've never thought about this, like it's just like how it is. And like, okay. And asked like other people, but no one really could tell him why the elephant would stay there on this like little rope and just accepting this. And how he tells the story, like he's been wondering this for years and years on. Apparently no one could tell him. And then years later he like walked by and another circus, and he sees like a baby elephant tied to this rope, to this wood, and he actually sees the elephant like struggling and trying to get away and pushing, and that's when it becomes clear to him what's happening there. So the baby elephant is not as strong as the big one. It's like a baby. And he's tied to this rope, and he's trying to get away because it's a child. He wants to be free and wants to run around, and he's trying and pushing, trying again, and then falling asleep out of exhaustion, and next day trying again and again, and he just can't get away. And so the elephant starts seeing or learning and talking to himself like, this rope is too strong for me, I can't get out. And one day he stops trying and tells himself, I cannot escape, this rope is too strong. And here you go. That's why the big elephant can't get away, because he accepts his reality. That's what he tells himself. This rope is too strong, I can't escape. And by just this one little shift, he could change his whole reality and say, I am a strong elephant, I can escape this rope. Let's do it. And yeah, so very beautiful story, and a very powerful concept to take with you into your practice. Watch your words, watch how you talk to yourself, and take this intention of ahimsa with yourself, especially with your words. Be loving, be kind. Whatever arises in your practice, we talked about this yesterday a lot. There's a lot of things that come, judgments, expectations. How do you face them? Are you getting annoyed immediately? Do you think, oh, I just can't do this today? And also that's okay. Then maybe today you can't do it. You probably can't do it today if you tell yourself you can't do it today. But yeah, maybe you just change a little bit on this talk to yourself. Maybe you feel like you can't do it today, and you just say like, okay, let's practice. It's not about doing it today. It's about the practice, no? It's about the way. And yeah, I told that yesterday to you in yoga, because in yoga it's often very obvious to me and very there that we don't practice to be perfect. We practice to meet ourselves as we are. It's not about this posture, it's not about doing the perfect handstand or the split or going into the craziest version. It's your practice. It's about connecting with your body and just seeing where you are, and then work with that, practicing with that. And that's the same in the meditation practice. It's not about enlightenment. Maybe it is for you. Maybe you have that in the back of my head. I actually had that in my head for a very long time, and I'm coming more from the Hatha side of yoga, and it's all about the Kundalini awakening. So for, I think, over a year, I was like, let's awake that Kundalini, awake it, awake it, awake it. So like very strict practice, very hurtful practice sometimes, from a lot of frustration, a lot of bad talk to myself, like, why can't you just, like, you're useless, like, let's do it. And especially when I encountered mindfulness meditation, it changed everything. It's like, oh, it's not about a certain state to reach, it's not about going somewhere, it's about what I discover in my practice. It's meeting myself as I am. And it's a lot about acceptance. It's about accepting yourself. It's about accepting whatever arises there. It's not about that there won't be any bad words. There will be a bad talk to yourself, but it's about noticing it and accepting it and then changing it. It's not about being frustrated when a practice doesn't work. But maybe you are frustrated, and that's okay. It's about accepting whatever arises, the good and the bad. And that's why I always, Colin has encountered that many times, because it's like my guiding sentence. There's no good or bad. Like when there's someone asking, oh, is that good? It's like, well, if you want to talk in good and bad, like for me personally, it's very important to not talk about good or bad anymore. And there's many experiences where you won't feel good, but it's also about like maybe like figuring out what is this like bad feeling really? Is it, am I sad? Is it an emotion? Is it a thought? Like it's very limiting, just like putting into this bad drawer and good drawer, and very hurtful on many levels. So yeah, acceptance, honesty with yourself. In yoga, it comes after ahimsa, satya, truth. Be honest with your practice. Like, if you don't feel good today, you don't feel good. You have emotions. You have maybe a mood. That's okay. Just accept it. By pushing it away, you won't get too far. Accept it and then do something with it. Bring loving and kindness into your practice. Follow the mindset of nice words towards yourself. And yeah, respecting your limits, very important also with the mind. And yeah, facing what's coming there, not running away, not pushing away. And all of this always with this thought of love and kindness. So yeah, I really hope that somehow resonates with you, that you can take that with you. And to finish this off, I would love to read you a poem. It's about this non-resistance, about everything that come up or can come up in the practice, and to just accept it, take it, and then do your magic with it. And the poem is by Rumi, and it's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.